2 or 3 minutes, we're going to start.
Hello, hello.
Maybe I don't have to use the microphone, guys. Okay, give us a couple minutes, we're going to start.
Good evening, everybody. If I can get your attention. My name is Michael Ben-Malik. I am the director of the Lighthouse Project. And first of all, I want to welcome all you guys. Thank you for making it out tonight. It's a very, very, very auspicious night tonight. Obviously, we are here to hear amazing words from Gedale Fenster. And we're here, obviously, to honor and commemorate the yard site of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. There's a lot of things I wanted to say. I'm going to try to make it as quick and short as I can. So this sukkah that you're sitting in here right now was dedicated by my father-in-law and by the whole Gorin family, which is all my father-in-law's family. And they dedicated this whole sukkah in honor of the grandmother called Sarah Batia ben Aharon. And this whole sukkah here, we are commemorating it because tonight is also her yard site. So we've done this for many, many years, and as soon as we started doing the lighthouse and we started tying in Rabbi Nachman with this and having Gedale now obviously speaking the words and teaching and preaching about Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, we've always thought to do a joint thing about it. So I wanted to, first of all, honor that and let her know that Baruch Hashem, we're still growing, we're doing amazing things, and that her neshama should have an aliyah from this class that we're having and for all the impact that we're doing. I also wanted to mention something very important. Unfortunately, this past week, I lost my father-in-law. His name is Menachem Mendel ben Elchanan, who, if anybody has ever listened to any classes from Lighthouse, it's literally been a name for the last 5 years or so that we've been saying Menachem Mendel ben Sarah Batia for Refuah Shlema. And it's very tough for me right now to really speak much about this, but it's important to know, and I want everybody to know this because it's very important. The Lighthouse Project started from the beginning 5 years ago in honor of his refuah. And Baruch Hashem, he went a total of 10 years with the C disease, and then unfortunately, this past week we lost a legend in this community, a pillar in this community, and a massive, massive rock in our lives. But it's important to know also that Gedale, which also started through this Lighthouse Project, and if it wasn't for my father-in-law, who we started all these classes for, tonight, everybody that's been impacted by Gedale would not have been listening to it today. And it's a very, very, very important thing to say that because it's unbelievable, you know, how one thing leads to another thing and leads to another thing. And obviously with Baruch Hashem Gedale growing and more people listening to his classes and being affected by it, it all starts from a seed. And that seed was from my father-in-law. May his neshama have an aliyah, a massive aliyah, from tonight and from all the people that have been impacted throughout all the years, from all the Torah classes. So I just wanted to say that.
Amen.
Gedale Fenster, who is here tonight, is not a mystery to many people. Obviously, many people know about Gedale and his classes. You can listen to him on the Breslov group, the chat groups that he has every single day, pounding out amazing classes that are changing people's lives. Gedale, which started here at the Lighthouse Project, changed completely my life and completely turned me on to the Breslov world, to the teachings of Rabbi Nachman. And I've always say this, and I say this every single year, I'm eternally grateful to Gedale because honestly, the teachings of Rabbi Nachman are so amazing, especially myself coming as a Baal Tshuva, working up the ranks, started off in Chabad, and then really started learning deep Torahs from him. I teach almost for the last 2 years Likutei Moharan, Rabbi Nachman's major work, and it's literally puts me on fire every single day. And the days that I'm not on fire, which is normal that people are not on fire every day, he shows you how to get back up and how to work hard on spirituality. And a lot of people don't understand how his works are just changing so many people's lives. And I urge everybody here to pick up, besides listening to Gedale's classes, pick up a book from Rabbi Nachman. There's many simple books that are out there that are easy to read and learn, and they really will change your life. So with that being said, we just got back from Uman. We were there for Rosh Hashanah, and we were back with a brand new light from Rabbi Nachman, whose grave is in Uman. And I just want to say, I want to welcome Rabbi Nachman here, whose spirit of Zat Hashem should be here tonight. Ushpizin, we have a special guest. His name is Moshe Rabbeinu, who is the tzaddik of the generation. Rabbi Nachman, who to us is considered our tzaddik of our generation. I wish that everybody here tonight has a great light that is put upon them through Gedale's words, and you should all grow the rest of the years at the Shem. Thank you.
Thank God there's 26 sponsors. We're going to say them really quickly because honestly it's the generosity that's put to this class. Go ahead, say it. Say them quickly.
Thank you very much. Here we go.
Say it my way though, not like your way.
Okay. Nightly dedication from the Gorin family in memory of Sarah Batya Gorin and her Neshama Hanavaliyah.
Amen.
Ella Fuzailov in memory of Mafrad Bat Elisheva Zichron Racha for the Refuah Shlema of Emily Sigalit Bat Leah, Miriam Chai Bat Chana, and Efrat Bat Oshra. Jonathan Forden, the Nishmat Menachem Mendel Ben Elchanan Zichron Racha. Isaac and Adel Kavia in honor of Gedale for all that he does for Am Yisrael. Ronnie Goldenberg, Lunishmat, her mother Ruth Bat David Zichron Racha. Anonymous in honor of Yaakov ben Magalit. Anonymous in memory of Shlomo Shaul and Edward Shaul Zichron Racha, and in thanks to Gedale. Anonymous in honor of the upcoming wedding of Rivka bat Esther and David ma Havash Miriam. Stuart Gordon, Leinish Mivat, his grandparents, Deborah bat Shaya ben Tzion, Huna bat Itzhak, Sar bat Shmuel, Yosef Ber ben Yosef Zichron Racha. Danny Schulholzer, for the Refuah Shlema of Yaakov bat Rina, Rachel bat Yaakov, in honor of his engagement to Mary and Dana. Anonymous in honor of Pnina bat Leah. In the schut of all the Torah taught, she's able to feel Hashem guiding her in the time of need. Amen. Mario Lichtenstein, in memory of Chaim Gershon Shmuel ben Moshe Lipen Zichron Racha. Arash Kohari, Yedida ben Nisan, B'schut Natalie bat Ronit, and thanking her for being an amazing wife. Anonymous for the shidduch of Moshe ben Esther Yuta. Meira Joselit, for Naliyah Neshama Rabbi Nachman and Zut of Gedale, his wife and children, for his classes and constant giving of time to help the Jewish people. And in honor of Moshe David Zeli ben Rachel Fredo and Mary Yehuda bat Pega Chaya for Shalom Bayit Parnas Adacha. David Sadayi, in honor of his wife Shera Sadawi, children Meir, Liat, and Aliyah, and parents for their health and happiness. Say amen, guys.
Amen.
Jennifer Chana Friend, in honor of Menachem Mendel ben Chana and Chana Rati bat Shoshana. Anonymous in honor of Yosua ben Sarah, Shir bat Yona, and Yosef ben Chana. Leah Gutblat, in honor of the birthday of Malka Fega bat Leah Chana, may Hashem grant her complete healing and protection from her traumas.
Amen.
Stella Livieva for the shidduch of Shirna bat Esther, for the Refuah Shlema of Esther bat Kalar and Roberta ben Ilya. Anonymous for the Chatzach and Bracha of his family. Stacy Shoshana in honor of the Jewish singles. May they all get married.
Amen.
Jonathan Mankis in memory of Shalom David ben Yitzhak HaKohen and Yoel ben Shalom David HaKohen Zichron Racha. Evie Plotnik in memory of her dad Israel Yaakov ben Rachel Zichron Racha, and sister Sivan Sonia bat Elena Zichron Racha for success, Zivug and Emuna, Levi and Talia bat Chava, Evi Chava bat Elena, Rabbi Moshe Levi ben Batya, and with a big thanks to Gedalia and Michael. Anonymous in honor of Avraham Mitzvah ben Michla Elka, Sarah Yal bat Shira, Rachel Dizan, David Alexander ben Sarah Yal, Michla Elta bat Chaya, and Sarah Moshe ben Sarah. Yachel Chana in honor of her children, Uri, Ezra, Simcha, Lisha, and Huva Malka b'nei Yachel Chana. Almost there, guys. Karen Day, Mazel tov and shalom bayit to the Chatan and Kala, Itzhak ben Baruch and Karen bat Hedvad, memory of Baruch ben Mordechai Zichron for the success and healthy life of Hedvad bat Fanny. Anonymous, in loving memory of Shlomo Yeshaya Baruch ben Liba Zichron for the zivug of Shammai Simcha ben Liba, Anna Hester bat Dina, Ruth bat Tzipora, Sheva Leah bat Chaya, and Sarah Gedale. In memory of my mom, who passed away, Devorah Fega bat Shmuel Menachem and Elin Elchem. Achuva Dubinsky, in honor of her birthday on October 17, these classes are the best birthday present ever. Nightly dedication, and finally tonight, which is in honor of my father-in-law, Andy Thor.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you. It was Michael that 4 years ago, he told me, Gedale, you got to come teach classes in Lighthouse. I'm like, listen, I want Mashiach to come. I said, listen, right now I got a lot of things on my plate. Some rabbi will bring Mashiach. It's not my job to bring Mashiach. And then he kept on, and he kept on, and he kept on, and he kept on. And that's how he got me, believe it or not. I was never speaking publicly. I was like, Tom, you're out of your mind. But he heard one class, it resonated with him, and here we are today. It's unbelievable to see that. May his father-in-law have an aliyah, and may Hashem help us all. So today we have a very special night. Tonight's the Yortzeit of Rabbi Nachman. I can't tell you, after 700 classes, that how much content we speak about Rabbi Nachman. You know, today, the Sphira of today, the Yishpizin is Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu represents one thing. He represented Dat. If you see these classes that we constantly speak about, what are they speaking about? Constantly changing perceptions. Perceptions. Dat is a fancy word, also knowledge, for perceptions. There's no question in our mind, in our today, that if it wasn't for Rab Nachman giving us these holding our hands every single day, God knows where we'd be. God knows where we'd be. Believe it or not, the classes do more for me than they do for you, because it forces me to constantly sharpen my mind, because I know I'm a human being. If I start thinking about the wrong things, or if I start taking things personal, or if I start thinking about the past, what happens? I start becoming that person. So I'm so happy that the classes, because when I'm teaching a class, I'm like, wait, am I doing that? So it constantly checks me. So I thank everybody, really, that the light that's coming is really coming to me. So when people say, thank you for your classes, really, you're doing more for me, then it's an honor for me to do this. You know, going to Uman, speaking in 6-7 classes, I would never think in a million years that would be today. But thank God Hashem put me in the right position where we're able to help that. So today we're going to talk about something very, very important. We're going to talk about something, changing our personal limited beliefs. There's no question, after hearing the numerous calls and numerous situations, one thing that people have in common, that people are constricted in a problem, is called limited beliefs. I can tell you it's all due to limited beliefs. Basically, they have a certain limitation of godliness in that area of their life. Whether it be a zivug, whether it be parnasa. What happens is a lot of the memories and a lot of the stuff that it comes from the past. So what happens is we're going to tell you how personalities are made. And if we start understanding that, how much, like just today, you see it's very common in my recovery centers, that person will not have a relationship with God because he never had a relationship with his father. So what happens? Next thing you know, I don't want anything to do with Judaism, I don't want to do with tefillin, I don't want to have anything to do with any of this. Because they're associating the whole Judaism based on their relationship with their father. Or I had a person, he converted to another religion because he had a bad mother-in-law. I said, listen, they're not like that. Doesn't mean you're to convert. But the bottom line is we develop these personalities, we develop these perceptions based on single accidents in our life, single things in our life. And what happens is, these things become our personality. And this is what Reb Nachman spoke about so much. Changing your belief systems. He spoke so much about renewing yourself constantly. You know, if you see a guy's face, you see a girl's face, even let's say on a date or in business, you could see their expression of their energy on their face. You could see if this guy's in the 1980s, or you could see if this guy's alive. Their energy. Like we said, our souls are either affecting people or infecting people, based on our belief systems. So it's very, very important that we get this straight. Reb Nachman's going to tell you something very, very deep. Lesson 29, he tells you a very small line, Yet, this is going to be the basis of this class tonight. The thoughts that a person passes through his mind are determined by his attribute, his midot. We would say his character traits, his personality. The thoughts that you get every day are based on who you are. All of a sudden, I get thoughts, things go bad, things go good in business. I look at it at today is a tzimtzum. Today Hashem is revealed, today Hashem is concealed. But what happens is if a person starts losing his self-esteem, and he starts developing a personality that nothing goes right, every time he sees something, it just reaffirms his negative belief systems. It's very important to understand that. That means if I want better thoughts, why do you think so many people are struggling with the past or struggling with anxiety? Because they want to change their thoughts with the same personality. They want to become the same person and have new thoughts. It's not going to happen. How could you have new thoughts if you're the same person? You have to change yourself. You have to become a new personality. When you become a new personality, you will get a different personal reality. And this is exactly what Rabbi Nachman is saying. Joe Dispenza, he's written 20 books. He lectures all over the world. Talks about the placebo effect. How are people able to have an elevated emotion? Person's stuck. Let's say a girl comes in a bad date. The first thing she's saying is, this is the way it's always going to be. How in the world can that person have an elevated experience after that? Only through emunah. Only through connecting to the Torah. Otherwise, what happens? If a person believes their personality is a negative personality, then every experience they're going to see is negative. We always said that joke, that a person's so negative, he walked into a dark room and he got developed. You know, it's the constant negative mindset. And this is the one thing that Rabbi Nachman told us, you have to run away. Do not be a victim to life. Yes, you're going to have discouragement. Yes, you're going to have a life that's not everything's going to go your way. That's why he constantly told us to sing with what you have. He already told us, do not expect permanent satisfaction in this world. Don't expect things to be perfect. Be satisfied, like we always say, be satisfied being dissatisfied sometimes. Be able to look at your spouse and look at the good points in people. I heard a great advice for Shalom Bayit from Gary Newman, I believe. He says, what's the biggest problem today in marriages? Which is very true. If a person goes to a game, and when does he leave a game? When does a person leave a game? When he says, listen, I've left Heat games, when it's impossible to win, like the Dolphins, impossible to win, people don't even show up. But when you know it's impossible to win in a marriage, that's when people leave. What do guys like to do most? They like to win. So how do you make a guy win? All you do is show appreciation. Show him a little appreciation. And guess what? When a guy wins one time, you know what he wants to do again? He wants to win again. So the minute you show him appreciation, you know what's going to happen? He's going to go out of his way to make you more happy. But what's the Yetzer Hara today? Some women do not like to say, because they think they're losing control if they start appreciating. So they want to give you a big boom. I'm going to show you appreciation. But look who's losing. Everybody's losing. So you could see how it constantly teaches us. Rav Nachman spoke about not wanting kavod. Don't run after honor. Don't run after honor. This is what's causing the damage. Imagine if a wife could tell a husband, listen, I appreciate what you've done for me, even though she doesn't like everything about him. But just create a little light in the guy's life. Give the guy a little hope. What happens? He's going to do, she just found the nukuda tov in him. She found the good point in him. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to run with this good point. And he's going to want to make you more happy because he's going to want to prove that he's appreciated. But today, we don't want to even do that because we're so stuck on resentment. Because we're so stuck on bad memories in the past. Because we're stuck on hate. And this is what Rav Nachman says, reinvent yourself. Every single day is a brand new day. He even told us how to deal with the past. You know how he told us how to deal with the past? Very simple. Forget about it. How do you like that? He says, God gave you the power to forget for a reason. You would never be able to read the Torah new. Because you said it, right? I read it last year. God gave you the power to forget in life for a reason. Because there's things in life that you just have to forget. There's comments that our spouses make, we just have to forget. But if we keep on replay them, and becomes frozen anger, then that becomes, you could just see the amount of pain that's happening because of this. So this is one of these messages from Nachman is renewal, is constantly renewal. Don't be comfortable. Stop thinking the same thing. Renew yourself. So this is what he says, the Maggid of Mezrich says something beautiful. He says, nothing can change from one thing to another. Listen to this. Nothing can change from one thing to another without first losing its original identity. Wow. I tell people, you want to recover from this addiction? You have to put the same effort that you did to get high, and it is to get clean. You have to become that same, what does the Torah tell you? Fight fire with fire. You have to fight fire with fire. It means if you have a big Yetzer Hara, you have to fight it with the same forces it's got you. But I can't become a different person if I have my original identity. And we say many times, if things don't challenge you, they don't change you. And your life doesn't change unless you do something different every day. That's what we spoke about. His Bodedut. We spoke about gratitude in the morning. Something different has to happen to invoke new feelings, new thoughts. And that's what's happening with these classes. You might not get it in the first class, but if you listen to 10 classes, 15 classes, little by little it's going to go into your brain and your subconscious. And next thing you know, things are going to start changing. So what does he say here? Nothing can change from one thing to another without first losing its original identity. Thus, for example, before an egg can grow into a chicken, it can't be an egg anymore. I tell a guy, you want to have shalom bayit? Can't take things personal anymore. Can't be that guy anymore that takes things personal. You have no shalom bayit otherwise. You can't be that same person anymore. You can't be that same person that holds his grudges anymore. You want a different life? You gotta do something different. And he says here, therefore, before a thing has to be transformed into something else, it must come into the level of nothingness. Nothingness. You have to abandon all negative emotion. You have to humble yourself to the ground, like Rav Nachman says, like before something can become a tree, it has to go into the ground. It has to go into ayin. The minute you still hold on to the old self, you can never become the new self. And that's what's causing the damage, the old self. So people want better lives with the same schedule. People want better lives with the same... What are you doing? I always tell people, what are you changing in your schedule? What's different? What's going to be different this year? What are we doing different? That's like we said, the lunacy of saying, oh, I hope my next year is a greater, better year. With the same thinking. How are you going to have a better year? You think Hashem made a mistake? Better you creates better years. Better years without better me? It's a problem. So what we're going to talk about today is a struggle that we have on changing ourselves. And Rav Nachman is going to give us tremendous advice. But you need to understand that it's not going to be easy changing yourself. Because the person's so accustomed to his personality. He's so accustomed to taking things personal. He's so accustomed to getting upset, majoring in minor things. He's so accustomed to getting angry about the stupidest things in the world. We said in Uman, I gave a class in Uman, and we spoke about how Parnasa comes from anger. Right? The minute Parnasa comes from the left, which refers to anger, which represents the same place as money. So let me ask you a question. How in the world am I going to be passing my test of anger if I don't take out the garbage in the morning? If I don't take out the resentment and the built-in and being upset at this person? If I'm angry at something else, it's just a reflection of things that I'm holding inside. So his bodedut, what Rav Nachman's telling us, is dump out the garbage. Talk to Hashem about the pain. Talk to Hashem about what's going on with your marriage. Talk to Hashem about what's going on with your coworker. But if you're holding that stuff in, then what's going to happen? Things are going to happen during the day, and you're not going to be able to pass the test of anger. Because it's not you, you're holding things in. So that's why Rav Nachman said, bittul. That means if I want to change myself, I first have to get to the level of nothingness. the same way an addict has to come to the level of saying he's powerless. Rabbi Nachman's teachings are very 21st century Torah. That's what I did. I brought them and I said, listen, this is the deepest psychology tools you're going to have. You don't need to get Joe Dispenza or Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. I'm going to tell you exactly these same things that you're reading. I'm going to tell you where it is already in Rav Nachman. But if I want a different personal reality, I have to change my personality, the way I think, the way I respond to things. Imagine 1 year you said, you know what, I'm not going to react to things, I'm going to respond to things this year. No more reacting, responding. I'm going to take 10 seconds before every incident, and after that 10 seconds, I'm going to give an educated response instead of reacting. You know how much your life could change in that 1 year? You know the opportunities you can get? But these things happen when we have to make a change. And how do you make a change? You have to get enough leverage. So this comes from the Maggid of Mezrich. You want to be a chicken? You can't be a person cannot be an egg anymore. That's a very simple way to say, if I want to become a different person, I have to change one thing or two things that I do daily. Or the minute this year, my tikkun was taking things personal. So I worked on it 1 year. And thank God it changed my life. You could see how many classes I did about this. How deep I went into not taking things personal. I recognized that all anger and all being upset and all trauma and all things that are happening in the person's life is what happens. Something happened to him, he took it personal, he got angry, and that's who he is today. So many things. So when we work on one thing, we start freeing up other things. And that's what we need to do this year. We need to in the Schut of Rav Nachman, we need to recognize we can't become a different person unless we change who we are. Number one. Rav Nachman's going to tell you here, in lesson 72, before we get to how perceptions are fixed. There are times when a person wants to start something good. You know, Mel Robbins has a book called The 5-Second Rule. She sold over 8 million copies of this book. What it is it's showing that your brain gives you 5 seconds. You have a thought. Next thing you know, you have 5 seconds. If you don't take action within those 5 seconds, your brain is going to kill the idea. Because your brain likes to keep you in what? Comfort. Okay? She uses the concept of the brain. She uses science behind it. Rav Nachman's already telling you lesson 72. You know what he tells you? There is a moment that a person's going to all of a sudden get an arousal from God. What's going to happen? He's going to take action. He's going to get enthusiastic. All of a sudden he says, you know what? I'm going to go on that date. You know what? I'm going to go on this. What happens? The minute you start saying, I'm going to do something good, I want to do something good, I want to change this, your original enthusiasm is going to completely abate. Why? Because you just conquered the first level of Yetzer Hara. So it's not that my brain is killing my ideas. It's the Yetzer Hara killing my ideas. They don't know about this concept of the Yetzer Hara. We know the Yetzer Hara. We know that God created man with 2 yuds. The Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. So how come I want to start something and next thing you know my enthusiasm is completely gone? It's unbelievable. Anything spiritual you want to start doing his bodedut, you start hesitating, you want to start saying I'm sorry to somebody, you know what, go apologize to somebody. So did you do it? No, I love this, I forgot this, tomorrow. Did you do it? No, I can't, this. How come it's so hard? You see the Yetzer Hara? But you said you wanted to apologize. How come you're not just doing it? Because you have a Yetzer Hara. And how do we know this? When a man says that I want to marry a woman on account of a tzaddik, the guy can be a gambler, a thief, a crook, everything. He's allowed to get married to her just on the thought of him being a tzaddik. So the minute Rav Nachman is telling you that the minute you start thinking of something good, automatically your Yetzer Hara is going to kill the idea for you. It's going to kill your idea. Right away. Saying here. No, the reason for this is the original thought of returning to God on an account of good was awakened. The action he took at that moment killed the first Yetzer Hara. His former evil inclination was eliminated. He killed it through the thought of repentance. But afterwards, a new Yetzer Hara is going to get activated. I never forget the first couple of years that I went to Uman. I was so excited to go. And then when I got there, I felt like such a depression. Like, what am I doing here, for God's sake? What in the world am I doing in Ukraine with all these people sleeping on bunk beds? I said, what am I, maybe I had it all wrong. And I never understood why that happened to me. I never understood. I said, well, how could this happen? I was so pumped up on the plane, and this, and I got here, all this for this? The guy stepping on your shoes, the cigarette in your face, the guy shouting you shish, all kinds of shenanigans. I said, what in the world am I doing here? It's the first thing. And it was a tremendous down that I had, and I didn't get it. And then what happens, luckily, the holiday started, I got into it. Then it happened to me next year again. So then I read this Torah. Oh, I didn't know that. So the bottom line is, how many times you see it? Did you date the girl? Yeah, everything went great. Second date? No good. Huh? What happened? What's going on with the second dates? She changed her hair? What did she do? I mean, what could she have possibly have done in 2 dates that changed your view so much? The lighting, the this, the that. It's your Yetzer Hara. Your Yetzer Hara, your evil inclination, like Mel Robbins says, she calls it your brain, kills ideas. It kills the good that you're going to do. Because what happens? Hashem created a Yetzer Tov, and He has to create a Yetzer Hara. Because if you would have too good, like we said before, it's like playing soccer with no out of bounds. There's no boundaries. So the Yetzer Hara is there to kill your idea. How many times I tell people, start the Tikkun HaKlali challenge. They start for 1-2 days, and they can't even pick up the book. I said, did your arm break? No, I just can't pick up the book. I can't pick up the book. I don't know what's happening. Is your arm working? Yes. I can't pick up the book. You should know that this is normal. And the fact that you're getting resistance in an area of your life is because that desire needs to be created more than that. But we think the opposite in America. If it's not comfortable, it's not for me. If it's not comfortable, just pick up your phone. That's all. Easy. I never saw a person hesitate to pick up their phone. No, I'm not picking up the phone. It's like second nature. So we need to understand, if we want any kind of spiritual growth, you have to forget about feelings. I can't stress that enough. I've never heard of any other book talk about this like this. But Reb Nachman's telling you, you want to change your identity? Your behaviors will determine your feelings. And your feelings will become your identity. But if you're a guy that needs to have feelings all the time, you're not going to have too much growth. I hate to tell you. Do you feel like keeping your mouth shut when somebody insults you? No. But when you start overcoming things, and you start becoming supernatural, then that's when you could say, if I did this, I could do anything. And there goes momentum. Do you understand the power of momentum? Once you break one habit, next thing you know, I can break this habit, I can break this habit, because you start building trust in yourself. But if you can't fix one habit, you lose control, you lose your self-esteem, and you can't break any habit. And that becomes your personality. A weak personality. Can't handle a little pain. And that's what Rav Nachman speaks about. You know what he tells us here? Rav Nachman lectured us, and he says that you have to pray with energy and devotion. He emphasized that we must force ourselves to pray with all our strength. You have to put so much energy into your prayers, and the more energy you put into your prayer, the more your energy is renewed. How do you know you prayed well? After a prayer, you feel completely different. How do you know? How do you know? If you feel exhausted after a prayer, your heart wasn't there. But how do you know? What's an indication that you have this energy inside of you? That means your heart and your mind were there. But he's telling us that the feeling's not going to come. You're going to have to make the move first. You're going to have to. Reb Nachman even says he had to force himself. He had to force himself to get going. This is very similar to doing exercise. Nobody feels like doing it. But once you get going, it's called the runner's high. You hear the runner's high? It just comes. And then you're like, where was I before? And usually that runner's high doesn't come right away. It comes when you get going and going and going. The same is true about everything spiritual. If you're the type of person that determines their feelings, that everything's feelings, I promise you, you're not going to get anywhere in life. You're going to come up with an excuse. We need to make adjustments, not excuses. Rav Nachman said, no, just make an excuse. Yes, he recognized that there was times where he didn't pray for 3 days. He recognizes there's darkness. Nobody does not recognize darkness. But when it comes to coping with our issues, there's not too many other ways. How else do I cope with my issues? Either I can I can take this pain that I have and I can hold it in and suppress it and walk around angry and walk around with resentment because I don't feel like praying or I don't feel like talking to Hashem or I don't feel like doing this. Or I can yell at people for no reason. Or I can numb it, medicate it with pills. Or I can say, you know what? I have to deal with this. And the only way, sages say, that a person has to have a relationship with God just like he has a friend. That he takes all of his issues and he casts them upon him. That is the only healthy way to deal with issues today. If I don't deal with issues that way, I'm going to deal with it with other ways. And that's going to, over time, it's going to become my personality. You ever hear a guy, he's angry. What an angry person. Right? What an angry person. When I see a client that the nurse gives him, by mistake, the wrong medication, and he yells at her for 5 minutes, that has nothing to do with the medication. It has to do with this guy's personality, by his belief system, etc. So now we know. Number one thing, the minute you have a thought of repentance, the minute you want to start something doing good, do not be careful. Be careful not to let your feelings tell you, nah, I don't want to do it. I don't know, not right now. Rav Nachman would procrastination. He would tell you, tomorrow I'll procrastinate. Tomorrow I'll take the day off. Today I'm going to do it, but tomorrow I'm going to take the day off. He didn't say bli never. He says, tomorrow I'll take the day off. And then when it got to tomorrow, he did the same thing. He did the same thing. And he did the same thing. And he told his Yetzer Hara, I will do it today. We speak many times how people tell your negative thoughts, if you're going to be depressed, if you're going to be sad, tell them at 6 o'clock I'll deal with the issues at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock for the past, 6:15 for the future. If you want to sit for 30 minutes and just focus on nothing, God bless you. But at least postpone it. That's what Rav Nachman started to say. And this is what he said. He says, you have to put as much energy into your prayer as I was pulling up an anchor on a boat. The energy comes. The energy comes once you get into motion. Do not live your life with excuses. Live our life with adjustments. Rav Nachman says in another Torah, and he says the problem today is our hearts. The word breslev means a soft heart. The problem today is our hearts are hearts of stone, a very, very heavy stone. What happens when we lose our emunah? What happens when we lose our belief system? What happens when we have limited belief systems? We start developing this cold heart. Opposite of Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman says, turn the broken heart. After a broken heart, you're going to come to joy. What did he say? I want you to take a hammer and break your heart of stone. Break your heart of stone. Limited belief systems, limited personalities, expired personalities. These are coming from a limited belief system that determines. Let's talk about how personalities are formed. This book is from You Are Your Placebo by Joe Dispenza, and he has a beautiful job of describing how a person's personality is formed. First, he says, your thoughts and feelings come from past memories. Why is the power of gratitude so important today? The power of gratitude is so important because when you're in gratitude, you're in today. I'm here. Gratitude means I'm here. I'm present. My conscious mind is working. Where are all my negative thoughts coming from? Subconscious, which are records of the past. So he says, your thoughts and feelings come from your past memories. If you think and feel a certain way, you're going to create a certain attitude. Over time, if you think about something 1,000 times, and it triggers that emotion, right? It becomes your what? Your attitude. It becomes your attitude. When the guy, people tell me, I'll learn anything but a rabbi. Anything but a rabbi. What do you mean? What's wrong? You had food poisoning with one rabbi. So you kept on replaying that message, replaying it, and then all rabbis are this. So you see a rabbi, you run. One rabbi? One rabbi at the end of the day? Did you ever question to one rabbi? Doesn't mean they're all like that. But when you start making one rabbi, your whole spirituality is based on one experience with one rabbi, that becomes your personality. You know how many times I see that? Tons. They drop everything because of one rabbi, or one situation, or one uncle who forced the religion on them, or one thing. Not 100 things, one thing became everything for them. When you get to 120, they're going to say, what happened to you? Oh, I have an excuse, I have a joker card. This happened. Did you ever question it? Did you ever question it? So your attitudes are based on what? Your attitudes are based on thoughts and feelings repetition. The more you think about something, the more it becomes a what? A belief. If, people tell me I have a lot of mazal. How does a person say I have a lot of mazal? He's thinking about that a lot. Wow, look at the mazal I have. Thank God. But the same thing also works the other way. People tell you my mazal is terrible. Why? He had one deal that went bad. Next thing he blamed it on the mezuzahs. And what happened? One deal went bad. Your mazal's not good. This is what I hear. One deal caused your mazal not to be good, so you never opened up another deal. You never opened up another business. You stayed there because of one deal. So what happened? A personal reality became who you are today. Now your personality is you're afraid to make moves. And what's happening if he's afraid to make a business move? You know what else he's going to be afraid to do? He's going to be afraid to get married. See the fear? It goes across the board. It's this fear, becomes next thing you know, you're afraid of that, you're afraid of that. This is how it happens. This is how personalities become. And then what happens? After that, your attitudes are what? Your belief system comes from what? A set of attitudes. Attitudes becomes your belief system, and your belief system over time becomes what? Your perception. Don't we speak about today, everything's perception? A guy could break an arm, he can have 25 stitches, the doctor tells him you're going to have 25 stitches in your arm. He could freak out, but let's say 10 minutes before he was told he was in a 4-car accident, everybody else died, he's the only survivor, and he only has a broken arm. How would he feel? Wow, unbelievable, what a miracle. What changed? The broken arm's still there. His perception changed. His perception completely changed. So you see the effects? If you keep on thinking about the past, you're going to end up having bad attitude. The bad attitude is going to end up becoming bad beliefs. The bad beliefs is going to become a perception which is completely blocked. And there goes life. There goes life. There goes life. We wake up in stress hormone. We wake up in this. I lived like that for 2 years, 7 years ago. 2 years. Negative belief system. Why? Because I went through a very tough divorce. Every day was the same thinking. How long is this divorce going to be over? How much longer? I can't take this anymore. Why is it happening to me? How much do I have to pay? I give so much charity. I do this. I do that. I help that rabbi across the street. I help that one. Why is it happening to me? The 2 years like a little canary. It's not fair. Believe it or not, before I started teaching these classes, this was my mindset. Sad Sally. Did I focus on the beautiful house that I have? Did I focus on the other beautiful things that I had in my life? Did I focus on other things that were working? No! I'm upset about this. The baby that has the broken toy. The 2-year-old that has the broken toy, that's all he sees. So I've lived in this mentality. So I would wake up to a negative belief system, wake up to anxiety, when is it going to be over, how much more am I going to spend? And then fear started coming. And then obviously with fear comes you're not going to have a relationship with Hashem because you don't have a settled mind when you're in that state. The last thing you want to do is pray when you're in that state. You just want to be left alone and numb out. So only when I started one day saying, you know what, I had enough of this. It's not working. And one day I woke up like it's all over. And I woke up, I don't know where I heard that video from. Act as it was like, it's almost like faith it till you make it. And next thing you know, I was just walking around like it was over. I don't know how it happened. From Shemayim, it was a blink of an eye and it all changed. I guess it was called Emunah, because thinking greater than you feel is Emunah. So at that time, I had no other option but to think greater than I feel. So I had to go 100% in Emunah, and I said, I don't care anymore. I'm going to live my life. I'm done with this. It's cost me 2 years already. I'm done. And after that moment, it was over a month after, and I said, you mean I could change everything through my thinking? I never heard such a thing. And just like that, it was magically over. Because in order to have an enhanced emotion, you have to get out of yourself. So my personality before was not majoring in minor things. My personality was, I'm going to be grateful for what I have. I'm going to be grateful for what I have. It sounds super cheesy, but that's emunah. Thinking greater than you feel. Embracing an elevated emotion before an experience. Unbelievable. That's what Rabbi Nachman is telling us. Embrace the imagination before. You know what he tells you in lesson 62? He tells you something unbelievable. You would think this is out of a subconscious book. He says, in lesson 62 in Wisdom, which is a phenomenal book, I strongly recommend, he tells us, human thought has tremendous potential. Thought can actually bring many things, even inflation. When thoughts are intensely concentrated, it can create great influence. Every faculty of the mind, both conscious and unconscious, down to the most inner point, must be concentrated. And if you do this, you're going to get what you want. And you know what he used to do, Rav Nachman? He used to wake up in the morning. He used to already plan the night before exactly what he's going to do. I'm going to read this, I'm going to wake up to this. Imagine if a person, before he even went to sleep, I'm going to do his bodhidut here, from this time to this time, I'm going to work out. He was so into the already there that he didn't even question whether he was going to do it or not. The level of concentration was so strong that it was not even a question whether he was going to do it or not. That's the intensity that he wanted us to get. So, how do we start creating these new emotions? What are we saying here? What does a placebo effect do? The same thing, the placebo effect is all emunah. The placebo effect creates an emotion, an elevated emotion, before the actual experience. Why? Because the person's beliefs changed. The person's beliefs changed about that pill. That pill could cure me. That book can help me. Before something's going to help with the person first has to create a different belief. He has to create a different belief. He has to go already into an enhanced emotion. But you can't do that unless you think out of your head. He says, the placebo effect requires you to embrace an elevated emotion ahead of the actual experience or healing. When you amplify your emotional response, okay, you're activating your subconscious system. You're interrupting the pattern, is what he's saying here. I'm interrupting the pattern. I don't feel good. Somebody gives me a pill. I got this pill from Israel. It's going to help you. Oh, really? I don't think about the pain anymore. I'm not in my fight or flight system. I'm in a different system. And this is what Rav Nachman is telling us to do. You have to think greater than you feel. You have to already fight the feeling. Not only fight the feeling, because if you already know that anytime I want to have a new feeling, I'm going to have a problem. I'm going to have the hesitation. Or before I want to forgive somebody, I'm going to have a problem forgiving that person. Because my ego is going to tell me, you can't do it. How hard was it on Yom Kippur to call people? It was like impossible. Right? I'm sorry for what I did, right? We're not running to do it. Even though the Torah is telling you, go run to do it. Nobody's running to do this. Can I text you? Can I do this? Can I maybe just think about it? You know how hard it is to do that? Why? Why is it so hard? It's because, imagine you want to get forgiven on Yom Kippur. All we're asking for, forgive me for the 1,000 sins that I did during the year. Every little thing is put in that book. And we're talking about El Rachum V'Chanun 26 times. We're saying, God, you're giving me so mercy and mercy and mercy. And yet, right before Yom Kippur, we can't even make that phone call. You see the problem? You see? How could you be talking about so much mercy, but you can't even do the phone call? It's because we have a Yetzer Hara. And unless we start thinking greater than we feel, we're never going to be able to forgive people. We're never going to be able to get healed. We're never going to be able to change ourselves. It's so difficult. Believe me, it's difficult. But once you get into a habit of saying, I don't care what I feel like, I'm going to just do it. That's when liberation comes. That's when the new you comes. You know, a guy's afraid to go up to a girl when they're dating. You see people dating in single seats, nobody goes up to anybody. How are they going to meet anybody? But the minute he does it one time, or he does it 2 times, wow, I can do it. So what's stopping us is the ego. So what are some of the elevated emotions? And what are some of the limited emotions? Because if we're not doing this, we're walking automatically. If you're not connecting yourself to an elevated emotion, you're automatically going to connect yourself to a limited emotion. What are some of the elevated emotions? Gratitude. In order to have gratitude, what do I have to do? A zamra. What is a zamra? That means right now things are not going so good. What do I need to do? I need to focus on what is going good. Let's say I'm having an argument with my wife. She didn't do this, she called me this. But she takes care of the babies. But she does this for me. But she does that for me. All of a sudden, you're not focusing on the negative anymore. You went from ingratitude to gratitude. You understand? You just shifted from ani, which is I'm not getting respect, to ayin, nothingness. You understand? That shift is fighting. It's not easy, but what happens? You change the Yetzer Hara is telling you, focus on this. Believe me, I wake up, and sometimes I get in my head. That's it. You're done with the classes. Enough. What else are you going to talk about? This Yetzer Hara comes to me all the time. What else are you going to talk about? How much more classes? So what I said, I let the feeling go, and then I prepare for a new class. But if I start listening to my Yetzer Hara, you'd have no more classes today. I would have stopped at 10. So it teaches us the minute that we're going to get something good, your Yetzer Hara is going to kill the idea. Remember that 1,000 times. Something good you're doing, the Yetzer Hara is going to tell you, it's not working. It's not for you. It's not that. He's telling you. That's the 5-second rule. That's what the 5-second rule is all about. Interrupting your thought pattern. That means do not hesitate. If you have an idea, you better run with it. If you have a thought of saying I'm sorry, do not hesitate. Go say I'm sorry right away. Because if you even wait 7 seconds, you're not going to do it. Try it. You're not going to do it. And you can apply this to absolutely everything. Once I recognize that negative thoughts come from the Yetzer Hara, then I can say this is the Yetzer Hara. I'm going to do it because on purpose, I don't want the Yetzer Hara telling me what I can do and what I can't do. Because if you become the person that you listen to your Yetzer Hara, what you can do and you can't do, you're going to be in bed thinking about all the garbage in life. Because that's what the Yetzer Hara's number one job is to make you lose hope and make you depressed. That's what Rav Nachman says. Why do you think he talked about Simcha so much? Why do you think he said, whatever you got to do, you got to come to Simcha? Because the whole Yetzer Hara is going to keep you hopeless. He's going to tell you it's finished. Nothing's working. It's over. And that's when you have to recognize it's only the Yetzer Hara. So when we talk about despair, Rav Nachman says, despair doesn't exist. Doesn't even exist. It's only the person's mindset. If you don't believe this, if you don't understand where that thought's coming from, you're finished. And you need to recognize it's coming from the past. So again, gratitude is what? Positive emotion. Love, your soul loves people. Your ego hates people. Joy, simcha, is again, being present in the moment. All of these emotions, I have to be today. It's present. Inspiration, also. Making peace with somebody is also being present. Trusting Hashem is present. What does trust allow me to do? Trust allows me to have vision. Trust allows me that I can see things very far away. If I trust somebody, I have vision. If I don't trust somebody, what am I going to have? I'm going to have anxiety. And what am I going to do? Panic and worry. See the opposite? But trust is from your soul state. Knowledge, presence, empowerment. These are all present emotions. What are the negative emotions? Doubt, fear, anger, insecurity, worry, anxiety, judgment, sadness, guilt. What is guilt? Something you did to somebody else years ago. Shame, somebody did something to you. You know the level of you live when you live in guilt and shame. The energy level consciousness is the lowest level. It's addictions 101. Shame and guilt. Addictions 101. Depression, lust, these are all from the ego. So remember, the whole point of these classes is you can become somebody else. But unless you recognize that the beginning of change, it's going to be extremely difficult for you. And that's why I said the first 15 days of changing a habit, it's going to be unbearable. The second 15 days is going to be uncomfortable, and then you'll be unstoppable. But you have to recognize, if I want to change myself, I got to become a new person. I got to lose the whole identity. And if I want to lose the whole identity, I got to give up the story that I've been telling myself. Like we said before, divorce the story and marry the truth. That's Rabbi Nachman. Somebody would take Rabbi Nachman's pulse, it would be a different pulse in 10 minutes. He says, how is this possible? How is your pulse different? He says, I just recreated myself 10 minutes ago. Do you understand how it is? Imagine being in a marriage that everybody recreated themselves every day. There'd be no resentment, there'd be no hate, there'd be love, there'd be newness. The newness is what keeps you alive. The opposite is what takes all your energy from us. So may Hashem help us in the schut of Rav Nachman that we should all change our personality by changing our thinking, by getting rid of limited belief systems, by going from the Dalet to the Hay. And you could do this. You have to pick, like our sages say, if a person is lazy, what should he do? For 40 days, he should do everything super fast. The Noam Elimelech says this. Anytime you want to change a habit, you have to go the opposite direction. If you can't get out of bed for 40 days, you need to run out of bed. Put your alarm clock in another room. For 40 days. Put your alarm clock put it in your neighbor's house, for God's sake. Do something drastically. Once you do that, I promise you, you will start spilling over. I don't need to tell a guy who lost 40 pounds, do me a favor, can you dress a little bit different? No, he already will do it himself. Confidence and momentum happens, but like our sages say, you gotta get going. All right, that's today's class.